Most men will never say it out loud, but some of the habits controlling their lives are slowly destroying them. The most dangerous part is that they often mistake these habits for strength. They believe they're in control, while their emotions, excuses, fear, and need for approval are actually controlling them. What if a few hidden behaviors are the reason you feel stuck, frustrated, disrespected, or unable to move forward? Today, we are going to uncover 6 powerful signs of weakness in a man, and more importantly, how to remove them before they become part of your identity. You may recognize yourself in one of these signs. You may even recognize several. But seeing the problem is only the beginning. The ancient Stoics understood something that remains relevant today. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus repeatedly taught that a man should focus his energy on what he can control instead of wasting his life fighting what he cannot. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that our true power lies in controlling our own minds, not external events. Epictetus taught that events themselves do not disturb us. Our judgments about those events do. Once you understand this principle, weakness becomes much easier to recognize. Weakness does not begin with what happens around you. It begins with the way you respond. A man can look confident, successful, and powerful on the outside while being completely controlled by impulses on the inside. He may constantly chase distractions, seek validation, react emotionally, avoid responsibility, and have no clear direction. Eventually, this appears in every area of his life. Poor decisions, unstable relationships, lost opportunities, lack of respect, and the constant feeling that he is moving without actually progressing. The difference between a weak man and a strong man is not that one has an easier life. It is how each man chooses to face his circumstances. Here are the 6 signs. Sign 1. He allows his emotions to control him. A weak man reacts before he thinks. Someone criticizes him, and he immediately becomes angry. Something goes wrong, and he loses control. Pressure appears, and he retreats. Fear shows up, and he allows it to make his decisions. It is like giving the steering wheel of your life to every situation that happens around you. But having emotions is not weakness. The problem is allowing those emotions to control your behavior. A strong man still feels anger. He still experiences fear, frustration, disappointment, and anxiety. But he does not automatically obey every emotion that appears. He pauses. He observes. He creates a gap between what happens and how he responds. That small gap is where self-control begins. You cannot control every situation, every person, or every event, but you can work on controlling your response. The more automatically you react, the easier you are to control. The more deliberately you respond, the more freedom you create. Sign 2. He hides behind excuses. A weak man always has a reason why he cannot move forward. He does not have enough time. He did not receive enough support. Someone else stopped him. His circumstances are too difficult. He is waiting for the perfect opportunity. But underneath all these explanations is often an uncomfortable reality. He is avoiding responsibility. Taking responsibility is difficult because it means giving up the role of the victim. As long as you blame your environment, your past, or other people, you give away your power. You become dependent on circumstances that will never be completely under your control. A strong man approaches the situation differently. Instead of asking, "Whose fault is this?" he asks, "What can I control right now?" That single question can change the direction of your life. Responsibility is not the same as blame. Responsibility means recognizing where your power begins. You may not have caused a situation, but you can still choose what you do next. And the moment you take ownership of your response, you stop being passive and begin creating change. Sign 3. He needs constant approval. A weak man allows other people's opinions to determine his value. He changes himself to be accepted. He avoids honest conversations because he is afraid of rejection. He says yes when he wants to say no. He hides his real opinions because he is worried about how others will react. Over time, something dangerous happens. He slowly loses connection with himself. This behavior can look like kindness or humility from the outside. But there is a major difference between being respectful and being dependent on approval. Every time you betray your own principles just to make someone else happy, you give away another piece of your identity. And without a clear identity, genuine strength becomes difficult to build. A strong man does not need everyone to approve of him. He knows his values. He understands what he stands for. He knows where he wants to go. That does not mean he becomes arrogant or disrespectful. It means he understands that trying to please everyone is impossible. Respect does not come from making everyone happy. It comes from having principles and standing by them. So ask yourself honestly, how many times have you stayed silent because you were afraid of what people might think? How many opportunities have you avoided because you were worried about being judged? If you recognize yourself here, do not ignore it. Awareness is the beginning of change. And if you want to keep developing discipline, emotional control, mental clarity, and inner peace, subscribe to the channel, because real strength begins with mastering yourself. But understanding what you need to change is not enough. You must act. And that brings us to the fourth sign. Sign 4. He runs from difficult things. A weak man constantly chooses comfort. When something becomes difficult, he looks for an escape. He postpones important decisions. He avoids uncomfortable conversations. He stays inside his comfort zone because it feels safe. And in the short term, avoiding difficulty can feel like relief. But comfort has a hidden price. Everything that can make you stronger usually requires you to experience some level of discomfort. Every challenge you avoid can become another source of insecurity. Every difficult situation you refuse to face can increase your fear. Eventually, your world becomes smaller, not because you lack ability, but because you repeatedly refuse to test it. A strong man sees discomfort differently. He does not automatically interpret difficulty as a reason to stop. Sometimes, difficulty is evidence that growth is happening. He acts before he feels completely ready. He moves forward even when confidence is low, because he understands something important. Confidence is often the result of action, not the requirement for it. Every time you face something difficult and survive it, you teach yourself that you are capable of handling more than you thought. That is how courage grows. Sign 5. He needs to make others smaller. A weak man often tries to feel powerful by making other people feel inferior. He constantly criticizes. He searches for flaws. He judges others. He celebrates someone's failure. He compares himself to everyone around him. But this behavior usually reveals more about his own insecurity than about the people he attacks. A man who constantly needs to bring others down may be trying to compensate for something he feels is missing within himself. And the cost is high. It destroys relationships. It reduces respect. And eventually, people begin to see the insecurity behind the behavior. A strong man does not need to destroy someone else's confidence to protect his own. He can recognize another person's success without feeling threatened. He can encourage someone without believing it makes him weaker. He can respect another man's abilities while continuing to improve his own. Why? Because his attention is directed toward growth rather than comparison. There is a powerful difference between these two mindsets. A weak man is constantly trying to win against other people. A strong man is constantly trying to become better than the person he was yesterday. When your attention moves from comparison to improvement, your entire life begins to change. Sign 6. He has no discipline. This may be one of the most destructive signs of all. A weak man depends on motivation. If he feels inspired, he works. If he feels tired, he stops. If the mood is right, he takes action. If the circumstances are difficult, he waits. Because of this, his life becomes a cycle. He starts with excitement and quits halfway. He makes promises and fails to keep them. He creates plans but never follows through. Eventually, something deeper begins to break. He stops trusting himself. Think about that. Every time you promise yourself that you will do something and then repeatedly refuse to do it, you teach your mind that your own word cannot be trusted. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is not about working endlessly. It is about doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. It means keeping your standards when nobody is watching. It means continuing without immediate rewards. Strong men build systems instead of waiting for motivation. They turn repeated actions into habits. Those habits become part of their identity. And eventually, the things that once required tremendous effort become natural. That is where real transformation begins. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. If you continue repeating the same behaviors, your life will continue producing many of the same results. But you do not have to change everything overnight. Start with one weakness. Control one reaction. Take responsibility for one area. Stop seeking approval in one situation. Face one challenge you have been avoiding. Keep one promise to yourself. Small victories repeated consistently can create a completely different man. More control, more clarity, more discipline, more confidence, more self-respect. None of this comes from luck. It begins with a decision. The decision to stop living on autopilot. The decision to take responsibility for your mind. The decision to act even when comfort tells you to stay still. And remember this, you do not become strong by simply thinking about strength. You become strong by repeatedly choosing the stronger response. So if this video made you look at yourself differently, use that awareness. Do not simply recognize your weaknesses. Work on them. And if you want to continue building discipline, maturity, emotional control, and inner peace, subscribe to the channel and continue this journey with us. Then tell me in the comments, which of these 6 signs do you need to eliminate from your life first? Because recognizing the problem is the first step, but action is what creates transformation. In the end, strength is not something you simply possess. Strength is something you build, one decision, one habit, and one day at a time.